As I mentioned before the break, having a chat to a really interesting and very talented young guy. He's an entrepreneurial genius, Australia's richest person under 30, and an entirely self-made man. We're joined by the founder and CEO of Kogan Technologies, Ruslan Kogan. Ruslan, thanks very much for your time this morning.
It's a pleasure. Good morning.
Yeah. Now, also joining us at this time too is Scotty Haywood, who'll be in on the conversation, Ruslan. For those who might not be aware, tell us about Kogan Technologies, please.
Well, yeah, Kogan, we're a direct business model, so we manufacture consumer electronics, so things like LED TVs, Blu-ray players, digital photo frames, and now even home appliances like kitchen mixers, microwaves, vacuum cleaners, and it's all made using big-name components. We assemble it in China, put it in containers, ship it to Australia, and then deliver it directly to the customer online. So as a result of that, you know, we cut out a lot of middlemen, so customers save quite a bit, and business has been skyrocketing lately. We've had about 500% growth in the last year. We're now Australia's fastest growing online retailer, Australia's biggest online retailer, and, you know, things have been going pretty well.
So, Ruslan, totally online? Your whole business,
online. Yeah. Not a single shop, but we service every corner of Australia.
Have you met Jerry Harvey by chance?
Well, we've had a few discussions, but he's not too happy with what Kogan's been doing. But I guess it's, you know, he's an incredible guy, an incredible entrepreneur. He's achieved a lot in his time in business, changed the face of Australian retail 40 years ago. But times are changing, and their business model hasn't evolved too quickly.
Gee, Ruslan, you must confess you've got in at the right time. You've had the nous and also the bravado to do it. For example, you started out selling stuff on eBay and doing all that sort of thing, didn't you? With no financial backing at all.
Yeah, so look, people tell me, they're like, oh, you're so young running this massive company. And I'm always like, well, yeah, if I was any older, I probably wouldn't be here, because I grew up with the internet during high school and during uni, and, you know, started buying online from a very young age myself. So I knew how it all worked. So timing did work pretty well for me. And like I said, if I was any older, I wouldn't have done it. But, you know, yeah, the business did start on eBay, and, you know, it's an incredible market, eBay. It's the world's biggest marketplace, and it's shattered the barriers to entry in the retail market. If I were to start Kogan 20 years ago, I would have needed showrooms all over the country, which would have me paying millions of dollars of rent. I would have needed millions of dollars of stock, so heaps and heaps of cash up front. Whereas these days, anyone who registers an eBay account all of a sudden has access to millions of customers. So it's great what the internet is doing for the world of commerce.
It's interesting you mention eBay, and you speak so highly of them, and so you should, although one stage actually shut your account down, which had some catastrophic effects, I believe.
Yeah, so, you know, when Kogan was starting, we relied on eBay for a lot of our sales. So we had our website, but eBay was still selling quite a bit for us. And then the TVs were on a pre-sale, because I had $0 in the bank account when I started Kogan. And then eBay shut the account down because they saw it as a security risk. They said, look, you've sold so much product that you haven't delivered and haven't received feedback for. They shut down my account. And then PayPal froze all the money in my account as well. So, you know, I was, to put politely, up shit creek without a paddle. You know, I pre-sold a lot of TVs, and yeah, then eBay shut it all down, so I had to start getting credit cards all over the place. Luckily, it was in 2006, so I was able to click on all the banner ads I saw online and apply for all sorts of different credit cards, and it was 2006 was a time when banks were giving credit cards to every man and his dog. So within about a week, I had about $50,000 worth of credit cards arrive in the mail, and that's how I kept the business going and then ensured that every single customer received their order.
That's an extraordinary story, Ruslan, because, of course, me being in the finance game saw the change to credit and the change to credit cards and the change to getting leverage in 2007, 8 and 9, and I'm pleased to hear that you made a success of it, and obviously now that you're in the Fast 100, you're certainly making money. I was just talking about work-life balance before, Ruslan. I'm intrigued to know, like, even though people say you're young, etc., all this sort of stuff, but how many hours a week do you reckon you'd work? Because obviously you had to complete the survey for BRW, but I mean, I'd be intrigued to know, are we talking 40 to 50, or are you a workaholic, or how does it work?
We're probably talking about 100.
Wow.
But look, sometimes when people ask me that question, I'm like, look, I don't work at all. I absolutely love what I'm doing. I live this stuff. I couldn't, it's not sustainable to do what I'm doing if I didn't absolutely love it. So I don't actually look at it as work itself. But the interesting thing is I go to and speak at a lot of entrepreneur conferences and business conferences, and you see this generation of people who want to be entrepreneurs and want to start a business because they've had enough of the 40-hour week. They've had enough of reporting to someone else. And the thing I tell them is I'm like, hey, guys, if that's your motivation, you're heading down the wrong path. My smallest working weeks were when I was in the corporate world. I'd love a 40-hour week these days, I haven't worked a 40-hour week in 6 years. So when you start your own business, you end up working twice as much. And then on top of that, I used to report to one manager. Now I report to over 80 million people in Australia and the UK. So, it's all of these things that people think about business are not true.
Ruslan, it's interesting you talk about the hours and putting in and giving it a go. And I hope you don't mind me saying this. You were born humble beginnings, Russian Jewish parents, moved to Australia when you were only 5 years of age. Obviously that work ethic was drilled into you as a very young person, though, by your parents.
Oh, certainly. Look, I grew up watching my parents work 3 to 4 jobs a day, then study English, then trying to raise kids. So I was at an Entrepreneur of the Year Awards recently where someone asked me whether my parents are in business, and I was like, no. And then they said, did you get your business skills from your parents? And I said, look, no way. My parents don't know anything about business. They don't know economic principles like supply, demand, and opportunity cost. They just don't get it. And then an elderly gentleman took me aside and he goes to me, you know what? You got all your business skills from your parents. And I go to him, what do you mean? And he goes, think about what it takes to be an immigrant. You have to drop everything you have, take a massive risk, travel into the unknown, work your butt off for a potential benefit that might not even be there. And I was like, oh yeah, now that you put it that way, certainly. And he goes, and that's exactly what an entrepreneur has to do. Risk everything, work their butt off for to try and start a business that might work out, might not work out, you never know. So there's definitely similarities. But in terms of work ethic, my parents played a great part in developing that in me and instilling the values that I've got, and that's definitely helped me in business.
Yeah, it's interesting, Ruslan, because obviously the main thing I talk to people about who want to start their own business, I talk about they've got to have passion and they've got to have fire in the belly, and they've also got to be able to manage cash flow. Now, at the age I talk to business owners, they might be in their 30s, which means they might have debt, children. So it's about managing the cash flow as well as managing all the things you talked about as well. But can I ask just one quick question? If you could answer it in a minute or so, what's the secret, you reckon, to the success or online retail in general?
To understand your customers, you have to use your competitive advantages like your communication channels, Facebook, newsletters, EDMs, listen to what your customers want. Technology makes it easier than ever to do that and give your customers exactly what they want. Now, building a loyal fan base, that's the hard thing. Once you've got that, making profits the easy bit.
Ruslan, look, we've run out of time. We've got news, unfortunately. We could chat away for ages. Congratulations on what you've achieved. If anyone would like to find out more about Kogan Technologies, a website, please?
It's Kogan.com.
Just simply Kogan.com. That's with a K, Kogan.com.
Great. Thanks, Jeff.
No, appreciate your time, Ruslan, and good luck with everything, too. It's fantastic. Wonderful stuff. Ruslan Kogan there, the founder and CEO of Kogan Technologies. And online retailing, Scotty, there's absolutely no doubt about it. That's the way it's going.
Well, I was pleased to say that he talked about loyalty and a fan base, and that's, I have to say, that's one thing I try and do with the Finance Guru is have a weekly newsletter, communicate with my audience, make sure if there's a finance issue that people are worried about, they can contact me, email me or call me, and I can help them out. So it's good that everyone's in touch with their consumers through, internet and online.
Yeah, and those who aren't like myself, we've got to go with the times.